Boker Tov. Very excited. The smell, Adar is coming. There's lots going on. We're told that the coming Geula with the revelation of Hashem and Mashiach is going to mimic the Geula from Mitzrayim. So I've been looking back at some of the wide themes and things covered in these early parshiot of Shemot to try and find some themes, trying to find out what we did right, what we did wrong, and what we need to do differently this time. So so just a quick review of the parshiot we've had so far. Shemot, a shame, is identifying something. It's telling you what its purpose is, what it is in relation to something else. So, for example, I can be a mom, I can be a sister, a daughter, a teacher, a student, a hairdresser, an editor, whatever. The name that you're referring to me as is how you identify with me, how your relationship is with me. So it's related to identifying a purpose. And we're told in Shemot that Bnei Yisrael vayizaku, they sighed and they called out, and Hashem heard their prayer. Sounds like a good way to get his attention. So what vayizaku? Usually it's written with a tzadi, which means to assemble people together. But in this case, it was written with a zayin, which has the connotation of mobilizing, calling up personnel. So Am Yisrael mobilized themselves in Egypt. And then we come to Ve'era, and Hashem tells Moshe, I made myself visible to the forefathers. And he also made himself visible to Moshe at the sneh. When he told him this, he changed his perspective so he could see things a little bit differently. The next one is Bo. When a person becomes an Av, a father, he's going from being one person into two people, a son and a father. That's the connotation of the Aleph going into the bet in the word Av. With the word Bo, it's the opposite. It's the two, the plurality, uniting into the one. So the purpose of Hashem making himself visible to the forefathers, and to Moshe and to us, is to have, so we have the awareness of this unification of the multiplicity that's really one. Then we have Bishalach, which is either in sending or sending to, could be the oral and the written Torah. Yitro, you take the yud at the beginning of Yitro and put it into two hays, it becomes HaTorah. So in giving us this Torah and Mishpatim. Now there are 8 terms in Tehillim 119 that are repeated over and over again with each of the letters. And that's Edot, Chukim, Amarot, Diburim, Torot, Pikudim, and Mitzvot, and Mishpatim. And if you add all of those together, the gematria comes out to 843, which is the gematria for Mitkadesh, to make oneself sanctified. That's what the purpose of all these things are, and why to be a Terumah, right? So the gematria of Terumah is 651. It's the same gematria as Am Yisrael. The letters Terumah themselves, the Taf has a connotation of other. It's the letter farthest away from the Aleph, which represents Hashem, and the upside down Vav at the bottom is at the end of the Taf is facing away from the rest of the letters in the alphabet. So it's this constant connotation of the other, or in terms of Shemaim, it would be the Aretz, or in terms of Hashem, it would be us. Reish is leading, and Rosh and elevating. Vav is connecting. Mem is the flow and the source, the pool of source. The final mem would be like a subterranean pool that would come up as a spring from the mountains and flow down to us, and the open mem is a revealed pool. And the hay is the letter of propagation and parenting and birth. So the idea is that the other, us, are raising things up in order to connect to the source, to this flow, in order to propagate it further into our world. And what do we know about Terumah? We're told first that it was given by those who Asher Yid Me'et Kol Ish Asher Yidvenu Libo. So every man as his heart volunteers him to do. So it's connected with the heart. When we give Terumah and Masrot on our produce, it switches them from being Tevel, which is the same letters as Batul, into something that's permitted for us. By giving this 1/50th of the produce, we makdish, we make sanctified the rest of it so it's available for use. In that case, we're giving 1/50th. Also, the Har Habayit, that was Hashem's portion, was Har Habayit. He had made that kodesh, but the mikdash on top of Har Habayit was called Trumat Har, and it covered 1/50th of the space on the Har. We sanctified 49 days in getting ready for Matan Torah, and then Hashem came down, and what he did on the 50th day is what made those first 49 days at this holier level. So this concept of the joining together of the 50, whether it's us doing the 49 and Hashem doing one, or Hashem doing the 49 and us doing one, is inherent in this idea of Terumah, and it's visible in the Mishkan. We had the Yeriot, the curtains of the Mishkan, and the Yeriot covered up all the Kalim, the Kodesh Kodeshim, and the Kodesh, and made it all into one unit. And it was so essential to the whole structure that was there that these curtains were actually what was called the Mishkan, and the whole structure took on their name. And so this Yeriot is supposed to symbolize the joining of Shemayim and Aretz, this 50 and 50, and there were 50 lulaot on each side of the Yeriah when they were brought together, and they had 50 krasei zahav, these latches of gold. They said they shone like the stars in the Beit HaMikdash, and it was supposed to symbolize the moon and the earth, the sun and the earth, the heavenly and the Or Yashar and the Or Choser joining together, heaven and earth working together for a singular purpose. So, in fact, we're told in Shemot 26:6, Vayhi HaMishkan Echad. Mishkan was going to be one when these curtains were put together. So originally the plan was we're going to go up to the Har. We were going to reach some 50th level of understanding. The Mishkan that was shown to Moshe in flames atop the Har was going to come down. We were going to go up and build the Mishkan there, and it would have lasted forever. But we didn't merit it at that time. Everything was shown to us to Moshe in fire, but only the Kalim got to come down in physical form. The Beit HaMikdash wouldn't have been able to last forever at that point, so that one didn't come down. But this time it will. It's going to be different. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be amazing this time. So, and we're told when Moshe is getting the instructions to build the menorah, or Evaseh b'tavnid asher atah mar'eh b'har, you should make it according to the model that you saw on the mountain. And so we have this idea that he was able to see, it came down in flames, Chazal tell us, and he was able to see and know what the structure was supposed to look like. And we're also told, the Hakimota et Hamishkan Kimishpato Asher Har Eta Bahar. You will raise up the Mishkan according to its Mishpat, as you were shown on the mountain. And we have this word hareta one other time in Torah, and that's in Sefer Dvarim. Atah hareta ladad ki Hashem hu Elokim ein od milvado. You were taught to know that Hashem hu Elokim ein od milvado. So we have this idea of Hashem and Elokim in a number of places. But really quickly, I have a chart here. The world, the Olam, the gematria is 146, which is 60 plus 86. Right? It's a kli for Elokim. We understand the nature of forces. What we see in the world is really just Elokim being masked. But the word Elokim itself also breaks down into kli, 60 plus 26. So just as Elokim is a kli for Hashem in the world, the Olam is a kli for Elokim in the world. And we have this idea every day in our Shema. So really quickly, we have the Or Yashar and the Or Choser, like the sun is direct light, the moon is a reflected light that we see. Usually the Or Yashar comes down from Shemayim to the Aretz. The masculine energy of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is pushing it down to the feminine energy of Elokim. But we also have this concept of Or Choser. And there, the initiation, the masculine energy is pushing from the bottom to the top. And it creates this circuit of energy. And the Or Choser is through our tefillot, our mitzvot, our chesed, our tzedakah, all the things that we're doing here. And so if you look at the body, we're told that the Or Hashem, it's expressed in our bodies in multiple ways. The neshama is expressed through the moach, through the brain, and we recognize it as our mind. It expresses through our heart, and we recognize it as our emotions. And the nefesh is more associated with the liver than the neshama, but it has influences from the neshama as well. But this moach, lave, and kaved, and liver are used repeatedly in explaining some of the different things that are going on and the influences that we're feeling from the spiritual world. And when this Or Choser is heading up, we have a hint of this in these words. Kaved has got a gematria of 26. So it shows that the energy of Hashem can start from below. And Lev and Noach are 32 and 54, which together are 86, which is Elohim. So this idea of a circuit where either Hashem can be at the top and pushing down, or at the bottom and pushing up, they all meet, no matter which way the flow is going, the energy in the center affecting the heart is the energy of Elohim. And Am Yisrael, in addition to being a Terumah, is also called Lev HaOlam. So we see this idea of Hashem Elokeinu Hashem, whether it's going from top to bottom, or Yashar, or from bottom to top in an Or Chozer. And we say this every day in our Shema. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem. We have this circuit in there. And it explains to us, it teaches us that we're an essential part of what's going on here in the world. We are this circuit of energy that's flowing top to bottom. We're the connectors between everything. And I've taken actually to envisioning a loop as I say these words in my daily Shema and picture myself connecting to Shemayim above. And I have to say, I've been doing it for about 2 weeks and it's brought me amazing results. I would suggest this for anybody. So we're also told that soon, when Mashiach comes and Hashem gets revealed in the world, we're all going to rise to the level of Leviim and Kohanim, and the rest of the 70 nations are going to become Israel. And Mashiach and Hashem will be revealed, but there's no magic. Mashiach's going to show up and snap his fingers and everything's going to be fixed. We have to build the future that's going to be here. Olam Haba, this 2 into 1, is not going to be Olam Haba for us. It is not based on Torah. It's going to be a Torah-dic existence. And we have to take upon ourselves to start A, learning, and B, teaching in order to infuse what's going to be built into the future and make sure it's full of Torah. So we're told from Hasidism that in the 600 years, the 6th millennia, the upper waters are going to begin to mix with the lower waters. The upper waters are Torah, the lower waters are the sciences. It's chemistry and biology and engineering and psychology and a whole host of things that the secular world has done a really good job of sussing out. But now we need to build a bridge. We have to teach and encourage ourselves, our children, our grandchildren to learn the secular sciences so they can start entering into these fields to spread the Torah knowledge into. So the Gashmiut of the new institutions that are going to be built to replace the ones that are falling apart now will have this Torah in it. And they're already catching up to this in the secular world. There's a fractal nature of Torah all over the place. They've got simulation theory, which is like the matrix, which is very similar to our Hishtalshalut, and the flow through the different levels of the Sfirot down to the physical reality and Malchut. There's patterns in DNA that show Hashem's name. There's a fellow called Greg Braden who got a hold of Sefer Yetzirah and started doing some of the calculations and was coming up with atomic numbers, atomic weights, and went to the rabbis and said, hey, do you know what you've got here? And they said, yes, we've been trying to keep quiet for many years. But now, I mean, when they find out their new discoveries are something that we've been studying deeply for 3,000 plus years, we have to find a way to bridge this and communicate with them in a way that's going to be acceptable to them. So we have to be humble. We have to find a way that we can communicate with them and infuse this Torah knowledge into the world. And I really believe that can be our ze'akah, our call to mobilization. If we can mobilize ourselves as a community to be the Terumah, to proactively not sit and wait by the sea, not sit and fetch and complain, not get afraid when Hashem started speaking and we said, Moshe, we can't do this. We need you to come in here. We can't do that this time. We have to go through the whole process this time. And maybe if we do our 1/5, if Hashem can makdish at the call, and we can't be feared. We have to be a proactive Terumah and speedily in our days. Hopefully, this will all come to fruition. I just have a real quick thing here. A thing from Zvi Friedman. It's called "Man is a Verb." And he's basically saying, don't think about what am I, but where am I? Not who you're supposed to be, but what you're supposed to be doing. What am I is how do I feel about this? Have I achieved enlightenment yet? Are we there yet? Where am I is what am I doing, speaking, or thinking right now? You're here on a mission, not to be Superman or Wonder Woman or even Super Soul. You're here on a mission impossible to wrestle in the dirt with the real world from inside a very limiting body with a frail human personality in order to transform all of those things into something divine. And I would amend it and say something revealed and divine. Thank you. Yes. Really beautiful stuff. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're going on with hating or don't hating. All right, just a quick reminder. Remember last week we talked about that even if you don't even if you don't have to, you can't hate somebody, but doesn't mean you have to be their best friend, right? That was one of our lessons from last week. Okay, so it turns out, even though that we're told not to hate, it turns out there are actually situations where we are obligated to hate. I remember years ago we were learning way back in the early years of the Bas Medrash, we had a book like this. We were learning the positive mitzvos of, and then we had an accompanying book. It was the loving, and then there was the hate book. And week after week after week, we learned all the laws of hating. Anyways, after about 4 months or so, we said, we hate this. How much hate can you learn? But the fact is that it does have a role in our halacha. I mean, there are situations you don't just hate somebody because they stepped on their toe, but there's very specific halacha when you are supposed to hate somebody. If someone is sincerely a rasha, you know that they've done terrible things to Chila Hashem, or they've harmed people intentionally, or then there are situations where you are actually supposed to hate them. Their conduct is so disgusting, so reprehensible that you actually are supposed to hate, even if under normal circumstances you might not be able to. Read my tongue. Oh, sorry. Okay. So the Kabbalah actually says that you are supposed to actively hate someone. If somebody's been properly, gone before a Beis Din, there have been witnesses, and he's been warned. Then somebody could actually come up with a psak din that you're actually supposed to. The Rambam adds that he says this applies only if the offender has been given repeated warnings over and over and over again. What you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. Now, I would imagine that the rabbis, the religious Jews in the early 1900s in America had quite a problem. Like, how do you deal with the fact that suddenly there's this whole part of your population that's going to work? I mean, it was well known that there were people who would come to shul Shabbos morning, and then they would go to work because there were no jobs that didn't involve, or very few jobs that didn't involve going to work on Saturday. And the bosses would say, well, you're not coming Saturday, don't come on Monday. And people had to make some very serious, very difficult choices. And in the beginning, there were shuls that would say, Shmulik went to work. Chayrim, he can no longer get an aliyah in the shul. Moshe went to work. And then it was Chaim, Yitzchak, Abraham, they all went to work. Hundreds of people had to make that difficult decision, and what were they to do? So, they had been warned, right? They had been told, they had been given tochacha, they had been given, but it's very hard to tell a family, don't do it, because they might starve. I mean, or you want to accept the consequences of not going to work. And so in the early years, they actually did put people in chayrim, and they did actually, but the numbers became so great that I think the rabbis at the time understood there's got to be another way. There has to be another way. And it really goes in the face of these particular halachos, right? You've got somebody who's being Michal Shabbos with Parhesia. He's publicly being Michal Shabbos. It's not like he doesn't know. He knows. He came from Europe. His whole life he was, Anyways, it's not an easy. I mean, our situation is a little different because most of the people that I think we deal with are people who don't know anything. But what do you do when you there's actually, and I don't think many people say at this point hate. It's sort of not the era of hating. It's more of an era of love, forgive, like your children.
love them, keep with them, include them, involve them. And maybe your neighbors too. Like you don't hate, but in fact that in many situations that really is the halacha. Okay, so back to our friend Shimon, right? So Shimon was on his way home one day when he saw two familiar faces at the bus stop, both of whom had just gotten off the bus. One of them was his not-so-friendly neighbor, Mr. Friedman, who was struggling with a large, unwieldy package that was about to fall. The other was his old friend Pinchas, trying to lift a half dozen bags laden with fruit and vegetables. He thought, I can only help one of them. Who will it be? Not an easy decision. Okay, so the Gemara has a discussion about you see a guy with his donkey, right, and his stuff is falling off the donkey, and you see another guy who's trying to load up the donkey. Here's a seat here, Shane. So, but you can only help one of them. So which one would you help? So the ruling is that the person who's, the donkey that has the stuff falling off of them, right? Like it's an inyan of, not only is it helping this person, but it's an inyan of tsar balechayim. The animal is obviously like falling under the weight of its burden. So you have to help that person first. But what happens if the person who, is one of them you hate, one of them is your nasty neighbor, Mr. Friedman, and the other person is somebody who's your good friend? Who are you obligated to help first? What?
The one you hate. The one who needs it the most.
The one who needs it the most?
No, the one that you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The halacha has sort of defined what's the greater need. Obviously, we're not talking only about like, your donkey collapsing. I mean, we're talking about, like the situation where, it's saying that the fact that it is the donkey collapsing at Tsar Balechayim, it's not talking about that particular situation. There are situations where, I can't think of one at the moment, but where people, there's an obvious need and there's it's a defined situation, and then you have another situation. Here's another person in need. So it according to the halacha, it goes to the person who you hate first, right? And what would be the reason for that? Because it gives you an opportunity to change your feelings. It gives you an opportunity to, it's like you want to borrow something says, and your neighbor says no, right? Comes the next day and says he wants to borrow something else. So you could react, well, I'm better than him. Or you could react like, I don't care. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm just not going to have those feelings in my heart. And this is the same thing. I don't like the guy. He hasn't been nice to me. I'm not going to let that affect how I act. I'm not even going to let it affect my feelings. I'm going to continue to work towards having positive feelings towards that person. So in this case, you would help the person who you don't like. Yeah.
The difference that I've seen between the two,
is
that really helping the lean guy, you're doing what you know yourself.
Yes.
You're already okay with that other man.
Yes.
But you have an opportunity to, because all of the negative things that Hashem puts in front of us are for us.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So you're like twisting around your Yetzer Hara. You're giving it, you're testing it. You're like putting it into a test. Yes. I think because you don't have to lend. Yeah, I think that's like just another good reason. Or every time they bring it back, it's wrecked, it's dirty, it's ruined.
I'm thinking about an example of.
Yeah.
to her neighbor who was always coming over.
Mhm.
Anything that wasn't like, attached to the floor, she
Uh,
would borrow. Like, and she was like, and she was like, I was like, I can't anymore. And said, we
Right.
must continue.
Right.
Yes, you return it, but it wasn't always like, and it wasn't broken, but, at some point you also like, it's like, I don't know. My concern. He says, no, that she had to.
No, but this is a different situation. No, if somebody brings something back broken every single time and doesn't offer to fix it, or I'm not sure if you have to. Okay, anyways, that's yes.
You cannot tell me like lending them,
Right.
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 Best friend, something, I'm the best friend. Some things for a hat.
And they're of course going to don the custos and think, oh, you must have a good reason, which I can't say. Okay. All right. So if you okay, let's just keep talking for weeks and weeks now about the gift of nights. Okay, we'll just kind of just go on talking about it. No, I want to. I'm always nervous to publicly thank people because there were so many hands in it. There were so many people who did stuff, and I'm always afraid that I'm going to I'm gonna make a mistake and I'm gonna forget somebody and. Yet every little step, every little thing, there was somebody there who stepped forward. Like there was somebody who was at that night, putting up signs and balloons, and there was somebody that night who was packaging more door prizes, and there was, how am I going to get somebody? How are we going to get something picked up from all the artwork picked up from the artist order? And at that point, I was so nervous and tense, and at that point, I said, Hashem, your event. You want the ladies to be happy. You want the Bas Medrash to make some money. And then 10 minutes later, Ziva called me and about something else. And oh, by the way, could you? Sure. So everybody here had a hand in it, but I just want to mention a few people. Is she here? Tova, are you here? Yeah. Yes, I think she is. So first of all those beautiful signs and the schedule and the original poster and everything that was created by Tova. And you think that she's far away, but she's really with us all the time. So I just want to thank Tova Weingart for her part in it. And of course, thank you to Dina and Deborah for the food.
Thank you.
Great food, great thank you. Everybody who said something about the event said, oh, great food. Everybody, everything was great food. Okay. So, and then also she's not here, but I want to thank Dina, who spent a great deal of time, like everything else. Dina! Oh, wait, okay. But she a great deal of time, like putting together the little cups and whatever, took care of the sign, whatever I asked her. Like she told me afterwards that she tends to extend herself, and I said, I'll remember that. Okay, that's something to. Okay. All right. I just thanked you, Polly, for everything that you do and for making yourself so available. And everybody should remember, she makes herself. All right. Now, Esther Berkowitz, she doesn't come to us regularly, but she was there. She did all the beautiful packages. There were other people. There was Hadassah who was involved, and there was, so many different hands who were involved in making them beautiful. But she's such a talented person, and she really, came through. Dova made this fantastic skit, which was funny and fun. Tatiana was a wonderful MC. You know, I mean, I could go around each one. You help. Joy was on a trip. She came back. I gave her 2 days. Over your jet lag? Okay, good. Could you do this, and this? Okay, you know, everybody was okay. This one, you helped. So thank you all. It was really a
Thank for you.
oh,
Thank you for you.
Menchie, I did. Menchie, that's what I said. I'm like, only nervous that I say names because I heard.
Thank you for you.
Of course, you want to shout there all that time on the jewelry and all the work on the jewelry and Jody. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Okay, and but Menchie was there to save the day over and over again. So I just really appreciate. And her prize, the prize that she offered was the big prize of the night. Yeah. 4 hours of Pesach cleaning. She was the big. She was a big. Anyways, the person who held it all together and just kept it moving forward and just, you know, had put, I think, heart and soul, despite lots of other things. Okay. Despite lots of other things going on in her life and her responsibilities taking care of grandchildren and with love, Rachel Razel came forward. And she was really the heart of the thing and just kept it going and moving. And it was a team. It was we actually literally 2 parts. Yeah, we actually were very, we have match scale skills. What? Shira help. What did you say?
Was like right by my side the entire day.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, like you go around the room. Elisha came to my house and you know washed some of the pieces that needed to be put together. But kind of went around picking up stuff from also picking up. I mean, each one of you, like you point to you, each one had a hand, and I'm just very grateful. And in the end, there were 3 main goals that I had for this evening. One was that people in the women of Tzfat would have a great time, and they did. Secondly, that the Bas Medrash would make we made a very nice amount of money. We're like covered for the rest of the year and maybe into the next year. Money that you pay every week covers some costs. It doesn't cover all of our costs. So we need to do these occasional fundraisers to make up the gap. And it did, and we're really set for a while. Baruch Hashem. And the third goal, I think this was the main one, was that my machzan is now empty.
Thank you for you.
Yeah. Dr. Lecter, yeah. Not next year. It's like after you give birth, no, I'm not doing this again, really. Okay, just a few other. Anyway, so congratulations to us all on a beautiful night. We should just keep that spirit going.
Whoever seeing Judy as Miss Spots.
Oh yeah. Actually, Yaakov Mamlok was Miss Spot.
It
was terrific. Esther Katzberg was sitting there.
We can't forget to see them.
All right, just I think all of our regular classes are taking place. I think and also just mention that 12:30 Yedida is giving the 4th in her series. She's starting now 3 weeks on Purim. So there's an article by Rav Ashlag that she's going to be talking about this week. It's called Purim, Reaccepting the Torah with Joy. Based on an article on Purim by Rav Ashlag. Her topic this week will be the banquet. Okay, so that's did anybody? Okay, that's all I have. Anybody else? Yes.
Just real quick,
I don't know if everybody's heard of the email going around. The Shabbos, great miracle. Supported Friday morning for buses going up. We're told that the hands represent the right and left side of this rotted tree. And when we clap them together in Simcha, we're uniting them along this middle line. Breaks the beam of Shammai.
Wow.
So please remember that clapping like the Rome's doing now and that we did the other night. Night of
That's a good
gifts.
idea.
Hi, Judy.
Friday, right, all of these forum is a face off and do
I guess she's
Just
busy
a
with
reminder for this Wednesday, we're meeting here at 9:30 to go off and do our annual hike.
Okay. Does everybody need to RSVP? Just show up?
Or just please bring your car.
Show up with a car.
Judy.
Okay, and if it's raining,
So that's postponed if it's raining.
Oh, there's
Okay.
Jody.
That's
Hi,
not called
Judy.
rain, it's called for
Hi.
storm behind clouds.
yeah, she
Even though-
said, wait,
Even though you make money, don't forget to put your weekly or monthly into the Bas Medrash box. And also, women of Tzfat are still looking for the soldiers.
I love
Huh?
you.
Yeah, so women of Tzfat are still, so we still have the box on the table and, so let's keep them warm.
okay. Who else?
Wait,
Shayna.
Judy.
Hi, everybody. I'm just reminding continue our session, our series. Got people very turned off, but really what it is, serious, but social discussions about enterprise questions. Doesn't just involve death and war, it involves how do you prepare, how do you think about it, how do you approach it, what do you do about it, this, that, or that happens, and if it doesn't happen, say, Baruch Hashem. So people who've come have appreciated it. It's kind of legal. Today it's gonna be a little bit on the legal side, but I'll try to temper it a little. So we'll do a little breathing exercise before we get into it, so we can accept it. Accepting things is a very important part of living. Okay, so please join us if you can at the library, starting at 2:00, going till about 4.
Okay, thank you.
Judy.
Today.
Okay,
Judy.
thank you very much.
I brought
Sad.
Jody.
Which is also in line.
Yeah. And then Karen also can invite.
Wow. Okay, I want to win.
Like, go to
Okay,
yeah,
no, no,
very cute.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very nice. It really is. So I thought
with that's so fun.
Couple of people asked me to bring things.
I know from Spot. Oh,
Wow.
Okay.
You'll take that.
Yeah, Leona's gonna print out a mail order catalog very soon of jewelry.
Wow. Remind me.
We're gonna have a fire sale. Everything that was below 50 shekels is gonna be 10
Yeah,
shekels.
you get to go.
Wow.
Bring in 10 shekels, you know, like between now and then, everything 10 shekel coins. And then bring the jar and send it off, because I don't wanna take any of the holiday.
Yes, right. I got your word.
No bunch. We're almost done. I don't know.
Of course,
Soon.
it'll be announced. What are the, we're gonna say two things. Judy told me to say. One of the most important mitzvahs of Purim is Matanot Lev Yonim, and the Bas Medrash tries to do that. So Bli Neder, this is gonna go to Matanot Lev Yonim. Somebody who's in tremendous debt, and they'll Purim, so Bli Neder, it'll get to them on Purim for this week and next week. We have 2 Mondays to get to Matanot Lev Yonim. And the other thing that is that, just like I said this to Judy, and Judy said I should say this, is that do yourself a favor. Read the Megillah before Purim. Read it in English, just read it. Don't get to Purim at night and go, what happened? Well, you can't know what happened because you have to just keep going, but like you could stop. I promise you, there's 25,000 copies in English. You can get whatever you want, with the portion, without, but do yourself a favor, you'll thank me, read the Megillah in English before Purim.
Svardim read
Okay.
Shabbos
Okay, I think that, oh. you wanna-
Judy, thank you so much.
Down here.
Yes.
Quick.
Judy, if someone,
So I was gonna say about Amuna and Bitachon and about my mandalot and you see my mandalot over here, and if anyone can give me 25 shekels for that. Number one, number two, Edim Mitzion. I collect Edim Mitzion, and whoever can when the good to have the things for Edim Mitzion, I'm collecting the money. And that's number one. Number two, I want to say about Amunah B'Tachon, how much we have a lot of Amunah and B'Tachon that we have thank Hashem for everything that I am. So now I want to thank Judy. Judy, you're the major here. I want to tell you really thank you so much for all you
wow.
thank you so much, Judy, for all your emotional things and whatever, and the raffle and everything, and it's coming from my love to you. I love you.
That will be another minute. She's a.
And the candles.
Everybody should be with the hiding of the Chatzafim, Habayta L'Shalom.
Judy,
Thank you all
one
very
thing,
much. And
Judy.
it's time to learn some convenes.
Judy, I have a plant announcement.
Thank you.